I'm not going to use the word, but I think other people on Twitter have used the F word to describe different F word.
Yeah.
Fraud.
Yeah, there you go.
Let me tell you something.
I mean,
That's a scarier word than the F word.
The 5-letter word.
The 5-letter word is scary.
If you're actually sending people to buy your product, and did investors know about this? Were they investing on financial results that were being shown to them based on sales that came this, shall we say, unnatural way? That's highly problematic.
Of course, one of the problems with this is always the opaqueness or opacity of private companies.
Sure.
So, what the CEO said in the story, and then in response, he came on CNBC. It was a $77,000 effort, 0.12% of revenue, focused on quality control, focused on understanding how the products were being shelved. And then there was this piece of sort of goosing revenue, if I remember, like calling manufacturers and telling them how excited they were about the product to try and get more shelved. So there's sort of two questions for me. One is, is it material to revenue? Well, it doesn't seem to be based on what the CEO told us, right? We don't know.
But the Bloomberg story, they told Bloomberg the same thing, and Bloomberg had documents and emails and sourcing to say he's not describing the whole program.
And they had inside sources saying other things. But then even the question, even if it's not material, doesn't matter. Like, can it be quote unquote fraudulent behavior, even if it's not material? And even if they're describing it appropriately and talking about it appropriately to investors, and I don't actually know the answer.
It's
I don't
a trust
know.
issue. I mean, you're an entrepreneur, Jason. And you're an angel investor.
Investor, yeah.
As an investor, I mean, talk to me about the trust factor.
Yeah. I think there is a virus that spread in Silicon Valley, and I would say that it's a little bit of it has fingerprints of Zuckerberg's and a little bit has fingerprints of Y Combinator, which is what I'll call growth at all costs, or might is right. Growth solves all problems. And if you look at what Zuckerberg did with Facebook, piled up lawsuits with his friends, and some of them were bogus. Obviously, there's some weird stuff happened, but a lot of them were lawsuits with his friends. Big $20 million fine settlement with the FTC, 20-year audit, all this stuff. Nobody remembers how you got there. They remember that you got there. So at Y Combinator specifically, there was this sort of culture of it doesn't matter if it's white hat, black hat, or gray hat. If you get growth, you can solve for a lot of problems, right? So, Airbnb did a lot of broke the terms of service of Craigslist. That's the kind of stuff they high five for at Y Combinator. Like, you broke the terms of service? Oh, you got a growth hack? They call it growth hacking.
Yeah.
Hack stuff, like in Facebook, you have hacked.
But what's the line, right? I guess the question here is...
the thing is, I don't think these young people know the line.
Yeah.
And they'll do things for growth without any... And Zenefits is the poster child for this. The macro at Zenefits, where Parker wrote a macro to cheat or whatever, facilitate, skirt the rules on, sitting through coursework, is the ultimate Y Combinator bad behavior, hack, the system. And if you're going to do this kind of stuff, you better have a bulletproof product that works out really well, and you better thread the needle, or else you're Theranos or Zenefits or... and it's a Hampton Creek that. I mean, who knows? Can you trust what he's saying that it was only $77K? Maybe he put $150K on his personal credit card, right? And he's saying, the corporate thing was $77K, but he hired a third-party company to buy 10% of them. We don't know where the bodies are buried now. And so any appearance of impropriety is what I tell my founders. The appearance of impropriety is impropriety. Let's not have the appearance of impropriety. But I'm an old school guy who likes to play by the rules.
I also have spent probably an unfortunate amount of my career covering enterprise software, and this is not
a fun topic. Right?
I mean, I love it, but some of this is just reminiscent of talking to longtime salespeople at large publicly traded enterprise software companies where. What do they do coming towards the end of a quarter when they need to meet their quotas, they need to meet their numbers? They give some more discounts. They get a little more aggressive on the calls. They offer, a bottle of Jim Beam and maybe a nice steak dinner. Is that inappropriate behavior? Is that illegal behavior? I mean, Of course, they would never tell me that on the record, but these are it did
Whatever it takes to hit the number.
Whatever it takes to hit the numbers, and it certainly never appeared that this activity was discouraged from the top, whether it was encouraged and whether there were documents that were sent around, a la Zenefits. I never saw them, but it's not to excuse any sort of inappropriate behavior. But when the Hampton Creek CEO says this happens everywhere, you have to take that statement skeptically. But there also is some element of truth to that, right?
Yeah.
We live in a hustle economy, right? The American economy is a hustle economy. People here hustle.
Right.
And I don't know. On balance, it's a good thing, right? People push the envelope. They push rules. You get a lot of great stuff for exactly that reason. But again, there's a line, propriety. It's a judgment call.
Let me take a moment to tell you about a product that almost all of my startups use. It's called Braintree. And if you want to easily add payments to your product as a startup, you can do that with Braintree. But one of the most important things I want you to keep in mind is security. We are living in a time of hackers and all kinds of systems being hacked. You've read about them in the press, whether it's Sony or the DNC or all these different sites are getting hacked. There's a large group of people out there who are trying to hack and break systems in order to cause all kinds of problems for the owners of those companies. And you've worked really hard to build your business. Of course you are if you're listening to This Week in Startups, and you want to protect it from every angle. And having a solid plan for security starts with being PCI compliant. If you don't know what that is, go ahead and Google it. But by following certain security standards, you will be on the right path to protect your business and customers. And being PCI compliant is super important. You want to protect your checkout through encryption. That's called tokenization. And it takes sensitive data and codes as a series of random characters known as tokens. So you know how that works. You won't be handling the customer's sensitive credit card data, and you're going to reduce your responsibility and risk of security breaches. Braintree is payments platform with built-in tokenization and with other fraud tools that help you keep your customers and secure your business from all those crazy hackers out there. To learn more about Braintree, just visit braintreepayments.com/twist. Make sure you do that with the /twist. braintreepayments.com/twist. braintreepayments.com/twist. It's a great product or service. I could list the number of my startups that use the product, but it would take me 3 times as much as I've already talked about the product. And so we can't talk about them all during this whole entire podcast, but I will tell you that they're a great service and I give them an A+ rating. Go ahead and go to braintreepayments.com/twist and thank Braintree on Twitter. Thanks at Braintree. We really appreciate your support for independent, valuable media where we learn a lot like This Week in Startups. So thanks again from me to the team at Braintree for supporting us. We really appreciate it. Okay, let's get back to this amazing program.